Hi, Craig Sullivan with Sullivan Financial Partners. Welcome back to the Confident Retirement Journey. After years of saving and preparing for retirement, sometimes people are not prepared for potential expenses that may pop up. Let's talk about the 5 most common unexpected retirement expenses and how we could plan for them. Number 1 is rising healthcare costs. Sometimes people believe that as we get older and as we get into retirement, our healthcare costs may go down. What we find is that's actually quite the opposite. We find as we get older, we start to have more doctor's visits, more healthcare issues, and at the end of the day, we're looking at Medicare, we're looking at supplements, you're looking at potential long-term care expenses as well. Fact is, if you're a couple age 65, there's a 70% chance one of you is going to need some form of long-term care. If that's not planned for, it can cause a detrimental effect to your overall finances. It's important to have a plan for your health care from going forward throughout the entire retirement. Number 2 is unexpected housing expenses. A lot of people have a misconception that, oh, the house is paid for now as we're entering retirement. Things are great. We don't have to worry about that. Unfortunately, we forget to also think about the fact that sometimes as we age, our house does too, and we've got to have some upkeep. We might have an air conditioner that goes out, right? There's maintenance that's going to be ongoing, and if you're not planning for those, if you think that once the mortgage is done, you're done, you might be in for a surprise. Not to mention, taxes are going up for property taxes. Make sure you're handling them as well as you can. Helping adult children. This is a touchy one with some people. A lot of times we find that clients end up having to help their adult children with maybe student loans, maybe a down payment for a home. But it's important to plan for those things as well. One way to do it is to set specific boundaries with your children. We're willing to help with this, but not this. We've got to make sure that your lifestyle is taken care of before you take care of your children's lifestyle. Number 4 is death of a loved one, death of a spouse. Aside from the emotional trauma, can cause quite a financial trauma as well if it's not been planned for. Typically, when a spouse passes away, the surviving spouse loses a portion of the income, whether that be a pension that the previous spouse, the deceased spouse was carrying. It could be the Social Security benefits from the deceased spouse, right? You don't get to keep full of both of them. There's also scenarios where tax planning becomes a whole nother issue. For all these years, you were married filing jointly, and now all of a sudden you got thrown into a higher tax bracket because you're a surviving spouse and you're now a single filer. This can have a really detrimental effect on a financial plan. It can be planned for, and maybe that's where we get into this next slide about taxes. Taxes are one of the most important things to plan for as part of a comprehensive full financial plan. What we find is required distributions continue to go up, potentially throwing you into another tax bracket. If we're tying it into what we call the surviving spouse tax trap, now instead of the married filing jointly tax rate, you're paying at a higher single filer tax rate. These are things you've got to take into consideration. Maybe we need to look at Roth conversions or other tax strategies while you're still living to make sure that we can plan for these things going forward. We don't want any of these 5 to be a surprise that causes a detrimental effect to your overall retirement plan. So part of the Confident Retirement Journey is we're going to look at income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. All 5 of these make up a 5/5 full retirement plan. And if you're not looking at all 5, one of those 5 surprises might jump up and get you. It's time to plan for it. Make sure your plan's complete. That's all for today. Keep thinking bigger and explore the possibilities.